Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the place where stories behind the headlines find their human heartbeat. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, tap the join button to support our work, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment that moves the nation. Today, we enter a story that has captured an entire country's attention, a story not of glamour or scandal but of silence. Because sometimes, the loudest noise in celebrity life isn't what's said, it's what isn't. In the restless corridors of Turkey's entertainment world, few names shine as luminously, or as enigmatically, as Cemre Arda. A woman whose every role on screen pulses with authenticity, yet whose private choices seem wrapped in the mist of deliberate mystery. But now that mystery has deepened into controversy. Her decision to not attend the funeral of her ex-husband Gökberk Yıldırım's grandmother has sparked an emotional earthquake. It's a choice that divided a nation, transformed a private loss into a public debate, and once again reminded everyone that in fame, even grief can become spectacle. The funeral took place in Istanbul, under skies that felt too heavy to move, where every cloud seemed burdened with unspoken words. The ceremony unfolded at a centuries-old mosque, its walls saturated with the prayers of generations. Within those walls, politicians, producers, actors, and old family friends stood shoulder to shoulder, bound by respect and sorrow. The sound of footsteps on stone echoed softly, a rhythm as old as morning itself. And in the midst of this solemn choreography stood Gökberk Yıldırım, visibly shaken, his grief not masked but magnified by the camera's cold lenses. His mother held her husband's arm, as though it were the last anchor keeping her upright. Every sound faded, every whisper silenced. And then came the question that would rupture that fragile quiet: where is Cemre? Her absence became its own presence, tangible, unavoidable, louder than any spoken word. Within moments, social media ignited. The story exploded from private whispers to national headlines, and soon the whole country was asking the same question: was Cemre's silence strength, or neglect? Hours later, Cemre reappeared online with a single post. No caption. No statement. Just a black background and a red carnation emoji, a gesture so minimal it became monumental. To some, that flower symbolized quiet respect, a restrained form of mourning that honored without intruding. To others, it was proof of detachment, an empty digital gesture where a human presence was needed most. And so the internet did what it always does: it chose sides. Comment sections filled like battlegrounds. She's protecting her peace, some said. She's heartless, others countered. The line between empathy and outrage blurred into noise. Television panels dissected the silence like critics reading poetry. Industry insiders and gossip columnists spun their interpretations, each convinced they'd uncovered the truth. What was once a private matter of grief turned into a collective interrogation. Does a woman owe her ex-husband's family a final goodbye? Or does she owe herself the right to peace? Those close to Cemre insist the decision was anything but careless. One friend confided quietly to reporters that Cemre had agonized over every possibility. She knew her presence would draw cameras, and with them, headlines that might eclipse the family's mourning. She didn't want to make it about herself, the friend explained. She wanted the day to belong to the woman who was loved, not to the woman the cameras love. Across the aisle of grief, though, emotions in Gökberk's family ran raw. Several witnesses claim he whispered to a friend, his voice trembling, that humanity demands a few words. And though he never named her directly, the sentiment echoed like a sigh across the city, a wish for acknowledgement, a yearning for something small but kind. Then, as if to frame the debate in ink, his mother spoke publicly: on such days, pride should be set aside. We expected a little respect. Not coming leaves wounds. She never mentioned Cemre by name, she didn't need to. Her words landed like stones dropped into still water, sending ripples across every news feed in Turkey. Soon, the story crossed borders. Italian tabloids picked it up, layering their own romantic flair over the tragedy. They printed photos of sunlit summers when Cemre and Gökberk had visited the grandmother in coastal towns, afternoons scented with olive trees and laughter. They described the irony of absence where there had once been joy, framing it as something straight out of the Turkish dramas adored across Europe. And just when the story seemed to be settling, another wave rose, whispers of an Italian model, rumored to have played a role in the couple's past split. She, too, did not attend the funeral. Yet columnists twisted her absence into narrative fuel, suggesting that Cemre's distance somehow reopened an old chapter, or perhaps closed it. The air thickened again, not with grief this time, but with speculation. The public, too, was split. Some called Cemre's silence dignified, a graceful refusal to turn mourning into performance. Others called it cruel, a failure of empathy disguised as elegance. What's the boundary between self-care and selfishness? One commenter wrote. When the cameras are watching, can compassion still be pure? Asked another. These weren't just questions about a celebrity. They were questions about us, about how we handle endings, how we measure love once love itself has changed shape. And while the debate raged, Whatever You Need was right there, gathering every perspective, asking what truly defines respect in an age where grief itself trends online. Meanwhile, the entertainment industry continues to analyze every angle. Psychologists, actors, and critics are holding debates about emotional boundaries, authenticity, and the invisible contract between celebrities and their audience. Some claim Cemre's silence was a coded message, that love doesn't vanish, it merely changes language. Others see it as calculated restraint, the kind of silence crafted to provoke reflection without surrendering vulnerability. Between those theories lies a truth only Cemre herself knows, and perhaps never intends to share. Those who knew the grandmother recall a woman of warmth and humor, someone who valued peace over spectacle. Friends say Cemre and she once cooked together late into the night, exchanging stories and recipes, laughter spilling into the early hours. Perhaps that's why Cemre chose stillness over noise, a private farewell over public proof. In that light, her black screen and single red carnation were not a dismissal but a whisper, I remember. Still, the question remains, can silence ever be enough? As the city of Istanbul moves on, its traffic resuming, its marketplaces alive again, the echo of this story remains. It's more than gossip, it's a mirror. In every reaction, in every heated comment, we see our own beliefs about love, duty, and the fragile line between self and sacrifice. So what do you believe? Did Cemre Arda act out of dignity or detachment? Where does compassion end and where does privacy begin? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation alive, not to judge but to understand. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to Whatever You Need, hit the like button, and tap join to help us keep bringing these human stories to light. Because here, every silence has meaning, and every choice has a heartbeat. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the quietest moments speak the loudest.